Welcome back, everybody. So glad you could be with me here today. Today, I'd like to revisit the topic of the chip breaker and how it gets fit to the blade. So, what a lot of people don't understand is how important that chip breaker is. Now, can you live without one? Yes. You've seen me plane wood without a chip breaker. But for plain shavings like that, they're that thin and that controlled, with that smooth of a cut, the chip breaker is critical. So, I decided to use the tulip poplar jointer for this discussion because it takes away all the excuses of how valuable your cast iron plane is or your infill plane is, whether it's bronze, whether it's ductile iron, whether it's brand new, or whether it's 100 years old. I wanted to discuss this strictly for the chip breaker. So that's how I set this one up. The blade, the flat portion of the blade, some people call the face and others call it the back. For argument's sake, let's call it the back. The back of the blade is flat and polished to a fine, keen edge. The chip breaker has this bump, typically. There's different styles all around the world, but this is the most popular, and the conceptually, this shows exactly what you need to know. There is a space here up to about the screw once it's tightened. The front edge is airtight. In fact, it's light tight. Okay, you can see there's just a fine stripe of blade showing. There's no light can come through into this area here. However, just behind it, just behind that leading edge, there is a little bit of air. Why? Well, that has to do with how it's sharpened. When you're placing it on some sort of a sharpening area, you need to drop down so you can create that bevel right there. What that is going to be up to you and your plane. There are times where that has been honed or filed away to the point where this air gap here will be non-existent. Then you need to bend it again. You need to gently bend that front end a little bit. I'm talking 30 seconds, 1/16 of an inch sometimes. And then mating it. Okay? Is that helping anybody? I'm so trying to get this in camera shot. Now, when you're fitting your plane blades, you want to make sure, first off, your blade is square. Let me see if I can do this so it looks square. Square to your sides, but you also want your chip breaker front edge to be square to itself. Sometimes they're not, like this one's off just a little bit, but it works. I have enough lateral movement, I can make that work. So, that's all there is to it. And as far as setting it, how close should it be? I've talked about this before, I'll say it again. how close your cutting edge should be. I'm trying to get a reflection. There it is. How close that cutting edge should be to the chip breaker is purely a function of the type of cut you're trying to get. Are you trying to get a jack plane type shaving, a jointer shaving, or are you looking to get a super fine smoothing cut on difficult to plane hardwoods where you're going to go down to 1/1000th or less than 1/1000th of an inch? The thinner the shaving, the closer you want the chip breaker. But just remember, everybody, you also have to get more and more precise in your sharpening and in your setting of the chip breaker for the finer and finer cuts. And that's about it. Any questions? Message me. Send me a message. Comment. See? No cut. And that's all there is to it. Look at that. A cheap tulip poplar jointer plane. And a Stanley blade out of my number 5. If this helped you, give it the old thumbs up. Like, subscribe, and share this with others who might need this guidance. Head out to your shop. Go make some shavings. Walter out.